Hello, this is Brian Abram from the Chautauqua County Board of Elections. I'd like to present and help you out with the voter registration form for voters here in New York State. It's a very simple form and it's really all about you, but what we consider this document is the way to get into democracy and way to get registered to vote in your driver's license to basically become part of the process. And this is an important document. We'll go through it very slowly to make sure that you have no questions at the end. And what we will do is go step by step to talk about what it takes to get registered, what you do after you're registered, and then obviously the voting process and touch on some of that. So to get started, number one, it says, are you a US citizen? That is a key component. And if you are a US citizen, obviously you just hit the yes square, fill that out, and you're good to go. The second level here, it says, will you be 18 years of age or older on or before Election Day? And even if you hit no, you should continue because we can pre-register you at the age of 16. We will then hold your information, send you a card that we have your information, and on your 18th birthday, along with a card you get from all your friends and family, we will send you a Board of Election welcome to the Voters Club, and a voter card will be mailed to you. So don't shy away if you're not 18 by Election Day. But if you are 18 by Election Day, you'll be able to participate in the very next elections coming up in November. In section number 3 is obviously all about you, your last name, your first name, middle initial. And again, it's going to be all definitely who you are and how you'll be recognized here at the Board of Elections and technically across New York State, because we do share the information if you do move. Section number 4, 5, 6, 7 is all again about you. Date of birth is extremely important. When we go to look somebody up with a lot of like names, John Smith, there's more than one John Smith, obviously. And so the next level to break out which one is you is your date of birth. And that again is a great identifier. And it's a tiebreaker, if you will, to determine which John Smith or any other like name we're talking about. The gender, the email, the phone, obviously is optional, but in a general sense, it gives us more information, especially the phone number. If there's a mistake or something omitted on the form, we would call you up and say, hey, we need more information. Where you live is a key component in level 8, where you talk about exactly your residence, where you physically live. We will accept post office box as far as additional information, but when it comes to your mailing address of where you live, we need to specifically know the physical address. The address where you receive your mail can be totally different. We don't really have any issue with that part of it because PO boxes are common and as a matter of fact, mandatory in some areas, and people need to add that to receive their mail. Small villages or certain areas require everyone to have a PO box in certain spots within our county and across the state. So that is an option for somebody who definitely gets their mail someplace other than their physical home. Voting history, if you're new, you won't have any voting history, but if you're just being transferred in from somewhere else, give us a little history of yourself as far as are you registered somewhere else, and if so, in what year? Again, number 12, has your voting information changed as far as your name or your address or whatever the previous state? This is an update, if you will, for somebody who is already in the system. And basically, we would then take their information, update it, correct it, and move it through the system. The identification part is extremely important also. You need to make one selection of these two right here in front of us. The DMV number, if you have it, you put that in there. The last 4 of your Social Security is another option for identification, put it in there. But if you don't have either one of those, do not stop the process. Basically state you do not have a driver's license or your Social Security number, check off that last box. If you don't know them or don't have them, hit that last box. And what will happen is when you do go to vote for the very first time, you'll be asked for some type of ID. Other than that, the system is still going to allow you to become part of the process. If you have the DMV number or you have the Social Security number, please share that with us, one or the other or both. And then we will then basically put you into the system without that last caveat saying you need to show some ID. But again, don't stop. Continue on with the process and get yourself into the system. The political party obviously is a choice you can or do not have to make. The current major parties in New York State are listed under number 14. And the way you become a major party in New York State is every 2 years you have to, as a party, get a certain number of votes cast for either president in presidential year, governor in the gubernatorial elections. And as long as that party can have enough people casting ballots on their line, they're recognized as one of the major parties. In New York State, you see we currently have 4. We also have an option of other, meaning you can basically say, I don't want to be any member of any of those parties, hit the other box and fill in the name of the party you would like to be part of. Or you can do at the very bottom there, which is self-explanatory. I do not wish to enroll in any political party. I will pump the brakes and pause here for a second and then tell you that in New York State, you have a closed primary system, which means, well, if you pick any one of these 4 individual parties, and if they hold a primary, you can participate. If you don't pick any of those parties, you can't participate in the primary selection. And people need to know that, especially when it's a presidential year, because how somebody becomes a candidate for president, many times they are elected through the primary process. And thus people want to participate early on in that process. But unfortunately in New York State, closed process, you have to be a Democrat, you have to be a Republican, you have to be a conservative or a working families member to participate in their primary election. So differential is, if I want to get involved earlier in the process and be part of the democracy selection in New York State, it's the 4th Tuesday in June. You got to be involved with one of those parties, and those parties have to be holding a primary. Going down to the bottom, I need to apply for an absentee ballot. This comes in when somebody is going to be away and they know they're going to be away. You check off that box and we basically will make sure that you get an absentee ballot application in helping you through the process. This has become a huge, huge part of New York State voting. With COVID, we've basically lowered the threshold on getting an absentee ballot application. We have made it multiple options to get one. So in New York State, again, if you need an absentee ballot, check off the bottom box there. And if you'd like to be an election day worker, which is something that here at the Board of Elections, we're always looking for people who will help out in democracy and basically want to work on election day and be part of it and get paid and get trained and do things that are necessary to make sure that voting works here in New York State and in Chautauqua County, you can please check off that box. And another important part is you making an affirmation here on the right. It says, I swear that all of the things that are bullet pointed and that you sign it and date it and send it to the Board of Elections. Now, scrolling back up and looking at this again, if you're a college student and you go to, say, Fredonia State, but you're from Binghamton, you have the option of registering to vote in Fredonia. And if you're already registered in Binghamton, you would then register here in Chautauqua County. We would share the information with your home county and say, they're ours now. It's perfectly legal. We're all together here in New York State. We transfer people's registrations every day. And you can then vote here locally for the local candidates, for the state candidates, for the national candidates. Be cautious though, when you are filling this out as a college student, that, wherever your residence is, and if you have any sort of grants or applications for low interest loans, school loans, whatever, make sure that you ask the questions before you fill out a form to say you're a resident here in Fredonia, so it doesn't affect anything to do with your tuition assistance. The other thing is, if wherever you live, if you do not have a permanent address, as long as you pick an address that we can identify, and that is someplace that you are going to call home in your residence, you can fill it out. Even a homeless person can register to vote as long as we can find a location that they say will be their residence. So this is a very open spot here as far as where do you live. Well, we certainly want to register as many people as possible. We want to put them in their right locations, but please don't limit yourself or don't feel that you can't become part of the system because of your moving or wherever you happen to be. Pick one spot is what we normally like to say, because as long as you pick one, we're all in a good spot. If you move, just tell the next county or the next state, wherever you are, that, hey, I'm no longer in this specific spot. I'm now in this spot, and keep your records up to date. We update records here at the Board of Elections every day. We make sure that to the best of our ability, we match you to where you are. And so on election day, you will go to the poll site, or prior to, you go to early voting, which is 9 days before, or even prior to that, you'll ask us for an absentee ballot application and send us something stating you want a ballot. We'll be glad to send you one, and you become part of the process as an absentee voter. So there are options of voting. Like I want to touch on that. Once this form is in our hands, you then become the driver. You get to say, I'll vote absentee, I'll vote early, or I'll vote at my assigned poll site, the site that is where I live, that has been designated for you to come and participate in the process. We have 48 poll sites here in Chautauqua County. Voting is from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. on election day. And we try to make it a user-friendly experience. We like to say, give us 8 minutes of your time, and we will, basically take care of your voting and get you the best parking spots, the most convenient, the best workers, the most efficient way of coming in, identifying you in a poll book, and then allowing you to go to your private area, select your candidates, and anything else when it comes to propositions. What do you want, and whatever you need, you put into the machine, and then you walk back out the door, and we will make sure that your voice is heard by tallying your selections, as soon as we possibly can here at the Board of Elections, to certify it and make sure that everybody knows that the majority of the individuals who cast a ballot that day, this was their voice. So this is the form. This is extremely important to get to us. Again, any changes we'll take, any information, updates, name changes, anything of that nature. The Board of Elections is here to make sure that all of this stuff is on our website, votechautauqua.com. You can call us, we will mail, we will do whatever is humanly possible to make sure that you have the opportunity to vote. Again, this form is simple. It's about you. Just go through the process very slowly, make sure you fill in all the spots that are necessary, and we will confirm that we got your information, and we'll confirm exactly where you vote on a card that is sent directly to your house to where you said you want it sent, and it will tell you where the poll site is, the directions to it, and everything that's necessary to allow you the opportunity to participate in voting. And that is the registration form here in Chautauqua County, here in New York State. Again, it's all about you, and we need you to participate. So please consider, if you haven't already, registering to vote. And then once you register, we implore you to come on out and cast your ballot. Thank you very much for listening. And hopefully this was informative, and people will always do the follow-up questions of, do I have to do this every year? And the answer is no. If you fill this out once and you do not move, or there's no changes in your profile, every year you come back out and that same information is waiting for you to be part of the process. The only time there's a modification is when you tell us. If not, if you don't vote first 2 or 3 years after you register, you don't just disappear. We're waiting, and inside our poll book is the information of you, and we're waiting and hoping that you will turn out. So again, if you fill one out, it is there and it is available, and you are now in the club. People always ask, hey, what do you do with that information, and do you share it? The answer is no, we don't share your information. It's here at the Board of Election. It is public information, but it's not shared with other agencies or other departments, or won't get you, involved in some sort of other, informational pieces, if you will. The Board of Elections voter information is for you, and it's for you to be accurate and for you to come to our poll sites or vote at your convenience, the way you'd like to vote. So if that helps, I'm hoping that you guys would consider, everybody out there, consider registering to vote. And I appreciate you taking a moment to listen to my presentation, and hopefully it was helpful. Thank you.